The stage lights flickered, and Atlanta held its breath. What started as a routine reunion special for Love and Hip Hop turned into something no one could have scripted. Cameras were rolling, but even production didn't see this coming. Rasheeda, as ever, sat poised in her glittering gold dress, legs crossed, face unreadable. Across from her, K. Michelle leaned forward, phone in hand. Eyes sharp with the kind of confidence that comes when you know you're about to drop a bomb. "You sure you want me to play this?" she asked, voice smooth but cutting. The crowd murmured. Kirk shifted in his seat, his jaw tightening. The host tried to diffuse the tension, but it was too late. Atlanta was seconds away from chaos. What followed would ripple through every circle of fame, family, and fandom. The moment K. Michelle hit play, the speakers filled with Kirk Frost's unmistakable voice. Not one note of denial could cover the sound. He wasn't just talking, he was whispering, intimate, apologetic, using nicknames that no husband should ever use outside his marriage. The air turned heavy. Rasheeda froze, lips trembling, her eyes darting toward her husband before she whispered, "Tell me that's not your voice." Fans watching live flooded social media. Within minutes, hashtags were trending. Hashtag VoiceGate, hashtag TeamRasheeda, hashtag KMIC, Hell Exposed. Even longtime cast members were stunned. Scrappy texted in disbelief. Carly Red, seated on the couch's edge, gasped so loudly it almost drowned out the playback. What started as a show reunion had become an emotional ambush. "You think you can embarrass me on my show?" Kirk snapped, standing up, but his voice cracked mid-sentence. That crack was the confirmation the world needed. Every rumor that had floated for months suddenly found its proof, wrapped in his own words. Rasheeda stood too, her eyes glassy but fierce. "After everything we built," she said quietly, "after all those times I defended you." Her voice shook, not from weakness, but from disbelief. She looked at K. Michelle, half grateful, half furious, then turned toward Kirk, her voice rising with each word. "You humiliated me again, and now the whole world's watching." K. Michelle sat back, arms folded, phone still glowing. "I told you Atlanta needed the truth," she said. "Don't get mad at me because your man can't stay loyal." The audience erupted. Security moved closer. Even the cameraman hesitated, unsure whether to keep filming or step back. But the red lights stayed on. This was television history in the making, raw, messy, and unfiltered. Every sigh, every tear, every broken sentence was captured forever. As Rasheeda's mascara streaked down her cheek, Kirk reached out. "Babe, please, it's not what it sounds like." But it was too late. The damage was done. The woman who had forgiven everything, the child scandal, the rumors, the lies, was now face to face with the one thing she couldn't forgive: proof. And while the audience sat stunned, K. Michelle whispered to the mic with a smirk that sent shivers through the room, "Welcome to the real Atlanta." By the time the segment cut to commercial, fans were already calling it the most explosive reunion moment in Love and Hip Hop history. What no one knew then was that this was just the beginning. Because behind the scenes, another layer of betrayal was waiting to be exposed, one that would drag friends, exes, and even producers into the storm. The room was still humming with noise, voices overlapping as producers yelled for calm. But nothing could quiet the storm that had already started. Rasheeda stood near the center of the set, her hands trembling even though she kept trying to hide it by crossing her arms. Kirk's face was red, not from anger but shame. And K. Michelle sat back in her chair, like a queen who had just taken her throne. Her phone was still in her hand, the screen glowing faintly as if waiting for the next round of destruction. The audience whispered in shock, some filming on their phones, others clutching their mouths. The live feed was supposed to cut, but it didn't. The producers knew this was gold, the kind of moment that breaks the internet. Kirk turned toward the cameras, trying to control his voice. "You got no idea what you're doing, K. Michelle," he said. "You're playing games with people's lives." She tilted her head and laughed, sharp and unapologetic. "Oh baby, I'm not playing games. I'm just pressing play." She tapped her phone again, and another voice note began. This time, it wasn't just flirtation, it was confession. Kirk's voice saying, "I can't stop thinking about you, and Rasheeda been distant lately." Every word sliced through the air like glass. Rasheeda's eyes widened, her chest rising fast. "How long?" she whispered, almost too quiet to hear. "How long has this been going on, Kirk?" He hesitated. That hesitation was his answer. The silence was worse than a lie. Carly Red jumped up from her seat, shouting, "Oh my God, not again. Kirk, you just never learn, do you?" Security tried to keep the peace, but emotions were boiling. Mendices from the side of the stage muttered to Yandi, This some next level drama. He done messed up his whole marriage on camera. Yandi shook her head, murmuring, "This is what happens when folks can't keep private things private." The host tried to step in. "Let's keep it respectful," she said. But even her voice shook. "Rasheeda, do you want to respond?" Rasheeda didn't look at her. She took a deep breath and stared straight into the cameras. "To every woman watching this," she said slowly, "never ignore your intuition. I've been knowing something wasn't right, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And look at me now." Kirk tried to interrupt. "That message was old," he said. "It's from before we made things right." Michelle's laughter cut him off. "Before you made things right? You sent me that voice note 2 weeks ago, Kirk." She stood, her tone icy and calm. "You told me you missed how real I was, that Rasheeda didn't understand you anymore." The studio gasped. Cameras zoomed in on Rasheeda's face as the tears started to form, but she refused to let them fall. She walked past Kirk, past Michelle, straight off. The moment the doors closed behind her, the sound guy whispered, "We're still rolling." Because even the exit was television gold. Outside in the hallway, Rasheeda leaned against the wall, breathing hard. One of the producers followed. "Mike still live, catching every raw sound." "I'm done," she said. "I can't keep defending someone who keeps breaking me." Inside, Kirk dropped into his chair, hands in his lap. "She's making me look like a fool," he muttered. Michelle crossed her legs and said, "No, Kirk, you did that all by yourself?" The scene cut to the next day, cameras following the fallout. Atlanta was buzzing. Every blog, every gossip page, every morning show had clips of the voice notes. Fans were dissecting every second, saying things like, "Kirk done played himself again," and "Rasheeda deserves better." At Frosty's restaurant, Rasheeda sat with her mother, Miss Shirlene, sipping coffee with shaky hands. "You remember when I told you years ago, baby," Miss Shirlene said, "that a man who breaks your trust once will do it again?" Rasheeda nodded. "I remember," she said softly, "but I wanted to believe he changed. I wanted to believe the family we built mattered more than his impulses." Miss Shirlene leaned in. "Don't you cry over no man who keeps showing you who he is. You built an empire, not him." "It's not about the money," Rasheeda said. "It's about respect." Just then, Kirk walked in, ignoring the cameras outside. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly. Rasheeda didn't answer. He sat down anyway. "You know me better than anybody. You know I wouldn't risk us for something stupid." "Then why did you?" she snapped. "You told another woman my business. You sent her messages while sleeping next to me. You embarrassed me in front of millions." He looked down. "I made a mistake." Miss Shirlene slammed her hand on the table. "Boy, you've been making mistakes since 2017. Kirk flinched. "Can we talk privately?" "No," Rasheeda said. "You lost that right when your voice went public." Meanwhile, Michelle was doing interviews. She sat on a couch in her dressing room, makeup flawless, sipping champagne. "People act like I'm the bad guy," she said to the reporter. "But truth don't need to hide. Kirk been messaging me for months. I told him to stop, but he kept going. Now he's mad I didn't keep his secret." The reporter asked, "So you're saying you didn't entertain him?" She smiled knowingly. "Let's just say I kept receipts." That night, social media was chaos. Screenshots, memes, fans divided into camps. Hashtag Team Rasheeda. Hashtag TMK Michelle. Hashtag Cancel Kirk. Even celebrities weighed in. Erica Mena tweeted, "Men like Kirk always blame the woman who exposes the truth." Young Jock commented, "Atlanta about to be on fire." By the next morning, cameras caught Kirk leaving his house with a duffel bag. Paparazzi shouted, "Are you moving out?" He didn't answer. He just kept walking. Inside, Rasheeda was packing too, but not clothes. She was boxing up his awards, the framed photos, every reminder of their years together. As she packed, she whispered to herself, "I built this brand with loyalty. I won't let betrayal tear it down." Outside, Miss Shirlene was already on the phone with their lawyer. "We ain't doing no messy breakup," she said. "We doing business clean." But things took another turn when a leaked voicemail hit the internet. It was Michelle again, but this time, her tone was different, softer, regretful. "Kirk, I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said in the recording. "Rasheeda didn't deserve this." The fans went wild. Was she apologizing? Or just trying to clean her image? The blogs twisted it every way possible. One headline read, Michelle backtracks, regrets expose. Another said, "Too late for tears." At home, Rasheeda listened to the clip and shook her head. "Too late," she murmured. Kirk showed up later that night, standing outside their gate, calling her phone again and again. "I just want to talk, babe. Just 5 minutes." She looked at the screen, then turned the phone face down. From her window, she could see him pacing in the driveway, his car headlights cutting through the dark. It was raining now, soft at first, then harder, and the cameras hidden behind the trees captured it Kirk standing in the rain, waiting for forgiveness that might never come. Inside, Rasheeda sat on the couch, tears finally falling as the thunder echoed. "You wanted attention, Kirk," she whispered. "Now the whole world's watching." That night, Atlanta didn't sleep. Every radio station replayed the voice notes. Every podcast dissected the timeline. Fans said this wasn't just a scandal, it was heartbreak in real time. And just when everyone thought it couldn't get worse, a new twist emerged the next morning. Someone leaked text messages between Kirk and an unknown number labeled Studio Girl. The messages were flirty, playful, and signed off with "See you tonight." The blogs erupted again. Michelle posted a cryptic tweet, "Guess I'm not the only one." And that was the start of the next explosion. Rasheeda woke up to her phone buzzing nonstop. Her notifications were full: friends, producers, fans, and even her old business partners, texting the same thing. "Girl, have you seen the new leak?" She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes, not ready to face another round of public humiliation. But curiosity won. She unlocked her phone and opened Instagram. The first post she saw was from a gossip blog with millions of followers. The caption screamed in all caps, "New receipts. Kirk Frost caught texting a mystery woman known as Studio Girl. Rasheeda reacts." Underneath it was a blurry photo of Kirk sitting inside a studio booth, laughing with a woman wearing a red hoodie. The comments were vicious. Fans were calling him out, tagging Rasheeda, saying things like he's never gonna change, and "Sis, leave him for good." For a moment, Rasheeda just stared at the screen in silence. Her hands trembled again, but not from sadness, this time from anger. She dialed Kirk's number. He answered after 3 rings, his voice tired. "Hey," he said cautiously. "Don't hate me," she snapped. "Who is Studio Girl?" He sighed. "It's not what it looks like." "Then what is it?" she demanded. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been making a fool of me all over again." He hesitated. "She's an artist. I'm managing her. You know how rumors start." Rasheeda laughed bitterly. "Yeah, Kirk. I know how rumors start. They start when you give them reasons to." Before he could answer, she hung up. Outside, her mother was already talking to a neighbor. "This man's addicted to drama," Miss Shirlene said, waving her hands. "He don't know peace if it smacked him in the face." A few hours later, cameras followed Rasheeda as she drove to the Frosties restaurant. Paparazzi lined the sidewalk, shouting questions, flashes popping. "Rasheeda, are you divorcing Kirk? What do you think of the Studio Girl scandal? Is it true you're moving out?" She didn't respond, just walked inside, keeping her sunglasses on. Inside the restaurant, her staff went quiet. Even the clatter of dishes stopped. Everyone had seen the news. Her best friend and co-manager, Tiffany, walked up to her nervously. "You okay, boss?" "No," Rasheeda said simply, "but I will be." Meanwhile, across town, Kirk was pacing the studio floor. The so-called Studio Girl, a young singer named Asia, sat awkwardly on the couch. "I'm so sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." "It's not your fault," Kirk muttered. "It's just bad timing." But the cameras caught the way she looked at him, familiar, comfortable. It didn't help his case. Moments later, his phone buzzed with a notification from TMZ, exclusive, new footage shows Kirk Frost leaving the studio at midnight with Asia. He groaned. "Man, this just keeps getting worse." Back at the restaurant, Carly Red walked in unannounced, heels clicking on the tile floor. "Girl," she said, sliding into the booth across from Rasheeda, "you trending again." "Atlanta's eating this up." Rasheeda sighed. "I don't want to trend, Carly. I just want peace." "Peace don't make headlines, baby," Carly said, sipping from a straw. "You know how this game works. But if you want revenge, I got an idea." Rasheeda raised an eyebrow. "What kind of idea?" "The kind that gets ratings," Carly said. Michelle started this mess, right? Then let's finish it with receipts of our own. I know people who can dig deep, find everything Kirk's been hiding." Rasheeda hesitated, her mind torn between pride and pain. "I'm tired of fighting," she said softly, "but I won't stay silent either." That night, social media exploded again when Michelle went live. She sat in front of a ring light, face perfectly beat, music playing low in the background. "So everyone's mad at me," she said to her viewers, smirking. "They think I ruined a marriage, but maybe that marriage was already cracked." The comments flew by faster than she could read. "Let's be real," she continued. "Kirk been doing this for years, And the only reason people mad at me is because I had the guts to say it out loud. She paused, leaned closer to the camera. But since y'all so curious about these voice notes, maybe I'll drop one more. Something y'all didn't hear last time. Within seconds, tens of thousands joined the live. Kirk's voice filled the speakers again, this time saying, "You make me feel alive again, K." The fans lost it. People screamed in the comments, tagging Rasheeda, creating memes. Someone even tweeted, "He out here saying alive again while his wife dead inside." Across Atlanta, in her quiet bedroom, Rasheeda saw the clip replaying everywhere. She covered her face with her hands and whispered, "God, when does this stop?" But it wasn't over yet, because minutes later, her phone rang and it was not Kirk, not Carly, not her mom. It was Asia, the studio girl herself. "Mrs. Frost," Asia said nervously, "I just wanted to tell you. I didn't know he was still texting her. I found out when the blogs did." "I'm so sorry." Rasheeda froze. "You're saying Kirk's been lying to both of us?" "Yes," Asia said quietly. "And there's more." The next morning, she met Asia in a quiet coffee shop. Cameras caught them through the window. Two women talking intensely. Rasheeda's face shocked, as Asia slid her phone across the table. "These are his messages," Asia whispered. "He told me he was done with K. Michelle, but look, he texted her last week." Rasheeda scrolled through the texts, her eyes widening. There it was, plain as day, Kirk messaging both women within hours of each other, saying the same things: "You're special, I need you, she doesn't get me like you do." For a moment, Rasheeda just sat still, breathing hard. "Thank you," she said finally. "You didn't have to show me this." Asia shook her head. "I wanted you to know the truth. I'm done being part of his lies." Meanwhile, Kirk was spiraling. Producers called him nonstop, telling him he needed to issue a statement before his reputation was destroyed. "Say it was edited," one of them suggested. "Blame K. Michelle for manipulating the audio." But Kirk refused. "I can't lie my way out of this one," he said quietly. By evening, the Frosts' drama was front-page news everywhere. Reality show crews set up outside their home, hoping to catch another confrontation. Kirk finally showed up, knocking on the door, his voice hoarse. "Rasheeda, please, I need to talk to you." She opened the door slowly, eyes red but fierce. "Talk about what?" "About fixing this," he said. "About us." "Us," she said. "There is no us, Kirk. There's you, your ego, and your mistakes. I built everything beside you, and you turned it into a circus." He stepped closer. "I love you." She shook her head. Love doesn't sound like voice notes and lies. Inside, the cameras kept rolling as Kirk broke down for the first time. "I lost control," he said. "I wanted attention, validation, whatever you call it. But I never stopped loving you." Rasheeda's voice softened for a moment. "If that's love, it's not the kind I need anymore." And with that, she turned away. Kirk stood there, tears running down his face. While outside, the fans shouted from the sidewalk, phones raised, capturing every second. Atlanta didn't just watch this breakup, they lived it. But little did anyone know, one final recording still existed. The one K. Michelle hadn't played yet, the one that could end Kirk's career forever. And she was about to use it. 2 days later, Atlanta woke up to chaos all over again. The internet was boiling with new leaks, rumors, and a single cryptic post from K. Michelle that said only one word in all caps: final. Underneath, a short video clip played, grainy, shaky, obviously filmed on a phone. Kirk's voice came through first, low and desperate. "Delete that, please. I messed up. If Rasheeda hears this one, I'm done." And then, faint laughter from K. Michelle, "Too late, baby, too late." By sunrise, every blog from Hollywood Unlocked to the Shade Room had reposted it. Fans were in full meltdown. The comments flooded in, not him begging for cover-up, he finally admitted it. "This is wild." Memes spread like fire. Someone even edited Kirk's crying audio into a remix that started trending on TikTok. It wasn't just a scandal anymore, it was an event. Inside the Frost household, tension sat like smoke. Rasheeda was in the kitchen, staring at her untouched breakfast. Her phone buzzed with texts from producers, friends, even enemies checking in. Kirk sat at the table across from her, silent, his hands clasped. "They twisted it," he said finally. "That wasn't supposed to get out." Rasheeda looked up slowly. "You think that's what this is about? Publicity?" Her tone was cold, deliberate. "This isn't about what got out. This is about what you said." He tried again. "I was trying to end it. She recorded me. You know how she is." Rasheeda leaned back in her chair. "I know how you are." His mouth opened, then closed again. There was nothing left to say. The camera crew outside had been told not to come in, but the boom mics still caught faint snippets of conversation through the walls. I can't keep defending him, Rasheeda's voice cracked. I've done that for years. Later that afternoon, she walked into her boutique downtown. Her employees greeted her with cautious smiles, unsure how to act. She forced a smile. Business as usual, y'all, she said. Though her voice lacked its usual energy, Tiffany approached her quietly. You sure you're okay being here today? I need to be somewhere that still feels like mine, she said. This store's my peace. But peace didn't last long. Within minutes, a delivery guy arrived holding a thick envelope addressed to her. The label read, Private Media Hold. She frowned and opened it. Inside were printed transcripts, voice note scripts, text exchanges, and screenshots, each one worse than the last. Kirk's voice, Kay, Michelle's voice, references to studio nights, private rooms, and even money transfers. Her knees almost buckled. Who sent this? She asked. No name, the delivery guy said. They just said it was urgent. By the time she looked up, he was gone. She sat in the back office, rereading the pages until her hands shook. The paper crumpled under her grip. He really did it, she whispered. He really betrayed me again. Across town, Kay. Michelle was being interviewed live on the radio. The host tried to corner her. Did you leak that last recording? She smiled slyly. Leak is a strong word. I just believe truth deserves light. But you understand, you've heard a marriage, right? Her expression hardened. That marriage was already bleeding. I just showed the bandages. The host tried to press further, but she waved it off, sipping her drink. Besides, Kirk came to me. Not the other way around. I didn't chase him. He reached out. He vented. He flirted. I ignored it at first, but he kept going. I warned him. Now he's mad that I didn't stay quiet. Accountability ain't cruelty. The phones at the station exploded. Fans called in, some defending her, others tearing her apart. One woman shouted, "You just love chaos. K. Michelle." Another said, "Nah, she did what needed to be done. Rasheeda deserves better." That same night, Love and Hip Hop producers called both Kirk and Rasheeda separately. The reunion special had shattered viewership records, and they wanted a follow-up episode immediately. Kirk refused. Y'all not about to make me the villain again, he said. Rasheeda, however, said yes. If this is the only way people will hear my side, then fine, she told them. The next morning, production vans filled the driveway again. Floodlights glared through the windows. Miss Shirlene arrived too, her expression hard. You sure about this, baby? I need to say what I need to say, Rasheeda replied. Hours later, the cameras rolled. The set was quieter than usual, the air thick with tension. Rasheeda sat in the center chair, poised, flawless, and done pretending. Kirk entered last, wearing a black hoodie, head down. He didn't sit close. The host, visibly nervous, began. There's been a lot of public reaction to everything that's happened. Rasheeda, how are you holding up? She took a slow breath. I'm tired, she said. Tired of cleaning up messes I didn't make. Tired of pretending for cameras? I kept forgiving a man who only knew how to perform regret. The audience murmured softly. Kirk looked up. You think I don't regret it? Regret without change is just performance, she said sharply. You don't regret what you did. You regret that you got caught. For a moment, his mask slipped. You think I like being the bad guy? You think this don't eat at me? No, she said. Calm now. You like the attention. Even bad press keeps your name in the streets. The host interjected. Kirk, do you want to apologize? He nodded slowly. I've said I'm sorry before, but this time it's different. I lost something real. He turned toward Rasheeda. You've been my rock for years. I got lost in the noise. I thought chasing temptation made me powerful, but it made me small. The crowd was silent. Rasheeda's eyes softened, but only for a second. Words sound nice on camera, Kirk, she said, but when the cameras go off, that's when the truth shows up. He lowered his head. The host turned to Rasheeda. So what's next for you two? She paused, choosing her words carefully. What's next for me, she said, is healing. I can't speak for him anymore. Applause erupted. Miss Shirlene nodded proudly from the audience. Kirk sat still, tears glistening under the lights. But the tension wasn't done. Just as the host began to wrap up, a producer whispered something in her ear. Eyes wide. We have breaking news, she said into her mic. We've just received confirmation that another audio clip has surfaced this time between Kirk and someone listed as L. Do you want to comment on that? The crowd gasped. Kirk looked up sharply. What? The host read from her phone. In the new clip, you're heard saying, and I quote, "You're the only one who understands me. I can't stand pretending with her anymore." Rasheeda stared at him, her expression stone cold. You still lying? She said quietly. That's not real, Kirk stammered. They faking stuff now. But the damage was done. Fans watching at home began posting reactions instantly. Some swore they recognized the voice. Others claimed it was edited. Either way, it didn't matter. The internet had decided. Kirk Frost was finished. Backstage, after the taping ended, Rasheeda sat alone in her dressing room. She took off her earrings slowly, staring into the mirror. Her reflection looked calm, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. A knock came at the door. It was Kay. Michelle, you got 5 minutes, she asked. Rasheeda turned. You got nerves showing up here? I didn't come to fight, Kay. Michelle said. I came to tell you something. That last clip, it wasn't me. Rasheeda frowned. What are you talking about? Someone else is playing this game now, Kay. Michelle said quietly. I never leaked that new one. Somebody wants to finish him off completely. The room went silent. Rasheeda's eyes narrowed. Kay. Michelle shrugged. My guess, someone closer than you think. Rasheeda leaned back, her mind spinning. Closer than me, closer than both of us, Kay. Michelle said, turning toward the door. You didn't hear it from me. And just like that, she left. Outside, the night was loud again. Fans, reporters, cameras, but inside that dressing room, one thought was growing stronger in Rasheeda's mind. If Kay. Michelle didn't leak it, who did? And why now? Rasheeda didn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of her bed, still in her makeup, scrolling through messages and headlines. The new clip had gone viral. Every outlet was running with the story, and the fan theories were getting darker by the hour. Some said the new leak came from Carly Red, trying to stay relevant. Others swore it was an inside job from the show's producers. But a small, growing number of fans thought something else, that Kirk himself had planted it, hoping to shift blame onto someone else and stay in the spotlight. By morning, her phone rang nonstop. Miss Charlene called first. Baby, I saw that mess online. You better not go near that man today. Mama, I'm fine, Rasheeda said quietly. But I need to find out who's doing this. What you need is peace, her mother said. That house is cursed with lies. But Rasheeda's mind was racing. If Kay. Michelle was telling the truth, then someone else was manipulating everything. She thought back to the studio girl, Asia. She thought of Kirk's business partners, his assistant, even the people on set who had access to recordings. Who stood to gain the most from seeing them both destroyed? She decided to find out herself. By noon, she was in her car, sunglasses on, heading toward Kirk's studio. Outside, paparazzi had already gathered. She walked past them without a word, heels clicking on the pavement, cameras flashing. Inside, Kirk was pacing again, phone glued to his ear. Who leaked it? He barked into the phone. Somebody had to send that file. When he looked up and saw her, his voice softened instantly. You shouldn't be here, he said. Oh, I'm exactly where I need to be, she replied. We're gonna find out who's been feeding this fire. The tension was thick. Asia stepped out from the back room, looking nervous. Mrs. Frost, I swear, I didn't do anything, she said quickly. Then tell me who had access to those voice files, Rasheeda said. Only me, Kirk, and his engineer, Asia said. Call him, Rasheeda demanded. Minutes later, the engineer, a quiet guy named Darren, arrived, eyes darting between them. I didn't leak anything, he said immediately. But, he hesitated, voice low. I did get an email from someone offering money for the files. I didn't answer it. Someone offered you money, Kirk said, voice rising. Who? It came from an anonymous address, Darren replied. No name, but the message said they wanted the recordings for a storyline enhancement. Sounded like production to me. Rasheeda's stomach dropped. You're saying the producers paid for this? Darren shrugged helplessly. All I know is, they knew what files to ask for. Exact times, only insiders would know that. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Kirk slammed his hand on the desk. They played all of us, he said. Every fight, every turret was their setup. Rasheeda crossed her arms. You gave them the content, Kirk. Don't act innocent now. He turned toward her, eyes full of regret. You think I wanted this? I thought I was just venting to someone who cared. She scoffed. Venting doesn't sound like begging another woman to delete your secrets. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number popped up on the screen. Rasheeda caught a glimpse. You don't control the story anymore. The finale's coming. Kirk's face went pale. They're threatening me now, he said. What finale? Rasheeda grabbed the phone and read the message again. Someone's playing Puppet Master, she said slowly. Later that day, she met with Carly Red at a quiet rooftop lounge. I need to know if you had anything to do with the leaks, Rasheeda said bluntly. Carly raised her eyebrows. Girl, please. I might be messy, but I'm not suicidal. Production's already breathing down my neck. Production? Rasheeda asked. What did they say? They said keep filming, keep the energy, and don't ask questions. Carly replied. You think they care about your marriage? Nah, they care about numbers. Rasheeda's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a private message from an anonymous account. Meet me at warehouse. 12 at 9 p.m. I can prove who leaked it. She hesitated. This could be a trap, she muttered. Or it could be the truth. Carly said. You going? I have to. Rasheeda said. That night, she drove alone to the warehouse. The streets empty. Atlanta's skyline glowing faintly in the distance. She parked, heart pounding, and walked inside. The air smelled of dust and metal. A single light flickered overhead. Hello, she called out. A figure stepped out from the shadows. It was Asia. You, Rasheeda said. What is this? Asia looked terrified. I found out who's behind it. But if they know I told you, I'm done. Who? Rasheeda asked, stepping closer. Someone from the network, Asia whispered. They've been planning this for months. They said it's the perfect finale arc, the fall of the Frost Empire. Rasheeda's breath caught. They ruined my marriage for ratings. Yes, Asia said, her eyes wide. And it's not over. They still have one more clip. What clip? The one that makes it look like you were involved too. Asia said. They edited something you said during filming. They're trying to spin it like you had your own affair. Rasheeda's heart dropped. They wouldn't. They would, Asia said. They already sent it to the press. Before Rasheeda could respond, her phone buzzed again, another message, this time with a video attachment. Her hands shook as she pressed play. It was a scene from a private confession she'd filmed weeks ago, venting about feeling lonely and misunderstood. But the audio was altered, cut, rearranged. It now sounded like she was talking to another man. Her knees went weak. They're destroying me, she whispered. They already started, Asia said softly. This is how they keep people watching. Outside, thunder rolled through the city. Rasheeda closed her eyes, tears spilling as the reality sank in. It wasn't just about Kirk anymore. It was about power, manipulation, and a network that fed on chaos. They wanted the Frost Empire to fall, she said. Fine, but they forgot one thing. Asia looked confused. What? Rasheeda opened her eyes, fire burning behind them. I built it, and I'll rebuild it without them. The next morning, she went live on her own Instagram, sitting in her boutique.com but fierce. To everyone who's been watching, reading, and laughing, let me tell you the truth, she said. What you saw on TV wasn't real life. It was a story they edited to sell drama, but my life is not a storyline. I'm not a victim. I'm a woman who's taking her power back. Millions tuned in within minutes. Her live broke records. Fans flooded the comments with support. We love you, Rasheeda. Don't let them break you. Queen energy. And just as the live was ending, Kirk appeared in the background, standing silently. She turned to him, eyes steady. You ready to tell them your part? She asked. He nodded slowly. Yeah, he said into the camera. The truth's ugly, but it's ours. The internet exploded again, but this time, it was different. For the first time in weeks, the fans weren't mocking. They were listening. Still, one question hung heavy in the air. One that even Rasheeda didn't have an answer for yet. If the producers planned the fall of the Frost Empire, who gave them the material to make it happen? And somewhere deep in the city, behind the locked doors of a network office, someone was watching the chaos unfold with a satisfied smile, saving the final clip for the perfect moment to end it all. By the time the sun set the next day, Atlanta was on edge again. Every station, every blog, every gossip podcast had the same headline splashed across its feed. Final Frost leak incoming. NETWORK. Insiders tease. Unseen footage. It wasn't just entertainment anymore. It felt like a countdown. Fans posted reaction videos, theories, and timelines trying to piece it all together. One blogger said, "This isn't reality TV anymore, it's a war." Rasheeda sat in her boutique, scrolling through the noise, her expression unreadable. The live she'd done had turned the tide for her. People were finally siding with her, calling her the victim of manipulation, but she knew the calm wouldn't last. The message Asia showed her kept replaying in her head. They still have one more clip. Her phone buzzed again. It was Tiffany, her best friend. You sitting down? Yeah. Why? Because they just dropped a trailer for the new Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Uncut episode. It's all about you. Rasheeda's stomach twisted. Send it. Tiffany forwarded the link, and Rasheeda hit play. The trailer opened with dramatic slow-motion clips. Kirk storming off stage. Michelle smirking at the camera, and Rasheeda crying in her dressing room. Then came a voice, over-heavily edited, almost robotic. Betrayal, secrets, and the truth that ends it all. The screen cut to black. Then a clip of Rasheeda's altered voice played. I needed someone else to make me feel alive again. She froze. That wasn't her real voice, it was chopped, distorted, but to viewers, it would sound real. Outside the boutique window, paparazzi were already gathering. One of them shouted, Rasheeda, how does it feel knowing the final episode exposes your affair? She didn't answer. She just turned off her phone, stood up, and locked the door. Later that night, Kirk called her. His voice was quiet, exhausted. I just saw the trailer, he said. They turned it around on you. Yeah, she replied flatly. This is my fault, he said. If I hadn't opened that door, they wouldn't have had anything to twist. It's too late for that now, she said. Let me fix it, he insisted. She laughed bitterly. You can't fix something that's already been aired to millions. Then we take them down, he said. Together. Rasheeda paused. Together. Yeah, Kirk said. They used us both. If we fight each other, they win. But if we fight back, maybe we can take control again. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then, finally, she said, fine. But this time, I lead. The next morning, the couple met secretly with a lawyer and a publicist at a small Atlanta office. You're saying the show used fabricated content? The lawyer asked. Yes, Rasheeda said. They spliced my interviews, leaked private voicemails, and edited entire conversations. The lawyer nodded. Then you might have a case. But you'll need evidence. Real evidence. Kirk looked at Rasheeda. Asia said she had proof. Maybe she can help. A few hours later, they met Asia again at a recording studio. She handed them a hard drive. Everything's on here, she said. Emails from producers, payment logs, and raw footage that never aired. It shows how they manipulated everything. Rasheeda held the drive like it was a weapon. This is it, she said quietly. We're gonna end this. But as they left the studio, two black SUVs pulled up beside them. Men in suits stepped out. Network security. We need that footage, one of them said. You'll have to sue me for it, Rasheeda said, sliding the drive into her purse. The man smirked. You think you can win against a network? I don't need to win, she said. I just need to tell the truth. By that night, she was back home, setting up another live. This time, Kirk sat beside her. The fans flooded and instantly hundreds of thousands watching. Her voice was calm, deliberate. For weeks, you've been watching pieces of a story that never belonged to me, she said. They told you I cheated. They told you my husband betrayed me again. They told UK. Michelle was the villain, but none of that was the whole truth. What really happened is this: our lives were edited for entertainment. She held up the hard drive. This right here is the raw footage they never wanted you to see. Fans flooded the comments. Drop it, Queen. Show us. We got your back. Kirk leaned forward. We're done being puppets, he said. We're done letting people profit off our pain. Then Rasheeda uploaded a short clip straight from the drive. The uncut footage showed Kirk's real confession, but this time with context, him explaining his guilt, not glorifying it. Then it cut to her interview, unedited. She never said she needed someone else. What she said was, sometimes I need myself to feel alive again. The difference changed everything. The internet exploded. Hashtags flipped overnight. Hashtag cancel Rasheeda turned into who's to see. Major outlets began contacting her for exclusive interviews. Within hours, the network's executives went silent. But behind closed doors, things were boiling. In a dim boardroom downtown, a group of producers sat watching her live replay on a giant screen. She went rogue, one of them said. She's exposing everything. The head producer smirked. Good, he said. It means she still cares. We'll use it for the spin-off. Spin-off? Another asked. The fall and rise of the Frost Empire, the producer said. And this time it's unscripted. Meanwhile, Rasheeda sat in her living room, exhausted but free. Kirk poured her a glass of water. So what now? He asked. Now, she said. We rebuild. But this time, without anyone writing the script. She leaned back, finally letting herself breathe. Outside, the paparazzi lights flashed again. But this time she didn't flinch. She had her story back, her name back, her power back. Still, as she scrolled through her phone one last time before bed, she noticed an unknown number had texted her again. You think it's over? That was only season 1. She stared at it for a long moment, then smiled faintly. Not this time, she whispered, turning off her phone. Atlanta was quiet for the first time in weeks. But in the shadows of the network, someone was already editing the next act, because in this city, the drama never ends. The morning after her live broke the internet, Atlanta was buzzing again, but this time the tone had changed. Radio hosts praised her courage. Fans filled comment sections with messages of love. Bloggers called it the biggest reality TV rebellion ever. For the first time in years, Rasheeda wasn't the subject of pity or gossip, she was the voice of control. Still, peace never lasts long in Atlanta. By midday, the network finally released a statement. It was short, cold, and corporate. Love and hip-hop. Atlanta maintains editorial integrity. We stand by our creative team. But one line at the bottom caught everyone's attention. The Frost storyline will conclude in a 2-part finale airing next week. 2 parts, meaning they still had something left. Rasheeda read the statement twice, then dropped her phone onto the couch. They're not backing down, she said. Kirk frowned. They can't use that footage now. You exposed them. You don't get it? She said. They're not showing the truth. They're showing the ending they want. Before Kirk could respond, her phone buzzed again, this time. A notification from a fan page. Someone had leaked a new clip, but it wasn't from the show. It was from behind the scenes, filmed secretly. It showed Rasheeda walking off set the night Michelle exposed the voice notes. Crying in the hallway, muttering, "I can't keep doing this." The clip ended with a producer's voice saying, "Good, keep the cameras rolling." The outrage online was instant. Fans were furious. #Boycotthifapitlant started trending within hours. But inside the network offices, the producers were calm. To them, every hashtag was free publicity. That night, Rasheeda got another message from someone claiming to work at the network. "Meet me tomorrow at 8 p.m. behind the studio. I have footage they didn't destroy." She showed it to Kirk. "What if it's a trap?" he asked. "Then it's a trap," she said. "But I'm done being afraid." The next night was cool and quiet. The studio lot was mostly empty except for a few security guards. Rasheeda parked her car, hood up, and waited. At exactly 8, a man appeared, middle-aged, wearing a faded crew jacket from the early seasons of the show. "You don't know me," he said, keeping his voice low, "but I worked post-production back in season 1. They've been doing this for years, recutting confessions, faking text threads, feeding bloggers. I couldn't take it anymore." "So why now?" she asked. "Because they're trying to bury you with that finale," he said. "They already cut the trailer, but I made a copy of the real footage before they locked it." He handed her a flash drive. "You'll see for yourself." When he walked away, she stood still for a long time, staring at the drive in her hand. The next morning, she plugged it into her laptop. Kirk joined her at the table. The first file opened on a raw camera feed, the reunion night, the moment before Michelle hit play on the voice notes. There were crew voices in the background, producers whispering, "Cue her," and zoom on Rasheeda's face. Then, clear as day, one of them said, "Make sure that audio overlaps. We want her to snap." Kirk's jaw dropped. They set the whole thing up. Rasheeda kept scrolling. Another clip showed a producer coaching Michelle, "Say you've got another message. Even if you don't, she'll break on camera." Her chest tightened. Every emotion, every tear, every humiliation manufactured for shock value. "We're suing," Kirk said. But Rasheeda shook her head. "No, we're exposing." That afternoon, she called her publicist. Within hours, major outlets were preparing exclusives. TMZ, Essence, Revolt, everyone wanted the footage. But Rasheeda didn't send it to any of them. Instead, she decided to air it herself. She rented a theater downtown, invited fans, bloggers, and press, and announced a live screening titled The Truth, Unedited. Tickets sold out in 20 minutes. The night of the event, the crowd packed the room. Cameras flashed as Rasheeda walked on stage in a sleek black dress, calm and collected. Kirk followed behind, subdued but supportive. "For years," she began, "people have watched my life like a movie. But tonight, you'll see what really happened when the cameras were supposed to be off." She pressed play. The screen filled with behind-the-scenes clips, uncut interviews, and the producer's manipulative instructions. Every gasp from the audience echoed through the theater. When the part came where the producer said, "Make her cry, we need a moment," people in the crowd shouted, "Wow, and that's sick." By the end, when the lights came up, the room was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. Fans were on their feet, chanting her name. But while the internet hailed her as a hero, the network was in panic mode. Executives scrambled to issue statements. One even tried to frame her as emotionally unstable. But the damage was done. The clips were already everywhere. For the next week, talk shows debated whether reality TV had gone too far. Celebrities spoke out in support of her. Even former castmates came forward with their own stories. Andy, Erica, and Mimi, all saying they'd been manipulated too. Still, amid the chaos, Rasheeda felt uneasy. She'd won the public battle, But something about that anonymous message lingered in her mind. Why did that crew member risk everything? And how did he even know where to find her? One night, as she was locking up her boutique, she noticed a car parked across the street, dark windows, engine running. She hesitated, then ignored it. But when she got home, she found an envelope on her doorstep. Inside was a note. "You've started something bigger than you realize. They're coming for everyone." The next morning, Kirk showed her an email he received from a private address. "We want to meet. We know who orchestrated it all." She looked at him, calm but serious. "Then we're not done yet." Because even though the truth had set her free, she could feel it in her gut, the game wasn't over. Someone higher up was still pulling the strings. And for the first time, Rasheeda wasn't just part of the story. She was going after the storytellers. 3 days later, the city felt different. The glittering calm of Atlanta's skyline hid the fact that something was shifting beneath it. News anchors, bloggers, even morning radio hosts were whispering the same phrase, "The Frost tapes." Every outlet wanted to know who had sent the anonymous footage, and what other secrets were still locked away. Rasheeda didn't wait for the media to catch up. She and Kirk drove downtown before sunrise, following the email's directions to a nondescript building near Ponce. The parking lot was empty except for a single silver sedan. A man stood by it, his face half hidden by a baseball cap. "You're early," he said, his voice low. "We don't have time for games," Rasheeda replied. "Who are you?" The man hesitated, glancing around. "Someone who worked upstairs," he said finally. "On the network's legal team. You're not supposed to know this, but the producers didn't act alone. The board approved everything. They've been manufacturing storylines for years, affairs, fights, pregnancies, all scripted from leaked information." The K. Michelle voice notes. "Those weren't leaks. They were licensed." Kirk's face twisted. "Licensed? You mean they paid her to expose me?" The man nodded grimly. "And others before you. But this time they crossed a line. They used manipulated audio without consent. That's illegal." Rasheeda folded her arms. "So why tell me now?" "Because someone up top's trying to make both of you disappear from the narrative," he said. "They're cutting you out completely. No royalties, no credit, no image rights. By next month, the Frost name will be erased from the show's syndication." For a second, the only sound was the wind rustling through the parking lot. Then Rasheeda stepped closer, her voice sharp and steady. "If they think they can erase me, they forgot who built their ratings." The man nodded. "Then you'll need this." He handed her a folder full of documents, emails between executives, internal memos, payment lists. One subject line read, "Rasheeda Kirk Downfall Arc, Q4 Projection Plan." Her stomach tightened. "They planned this like a business deal." "Because it is," he said. "Every scandal means higher ad revenue." He paused, lowering his voice. "But there's more. Someone from inside your own circle gave them access to your private recordings." "My circle," she repeated. The man nodded. "Someone close. Check your phones. Check your team." He turned and walked away, leaving them standing in silence. Kirk rubbed his temples. "You think it's Tiffany?" "No," Rasheeda said. "She's loyal." She frowned. "But someone's feeding them, and we're gonna find out who." By noon, the two were back at their house. Rasheeda sat at her desk, laptop open, comparing timestamps from her leaked files with the emails in the folder. That's when she noticed the voice note metadata matched a recording stored on her own phone's backup. Her breath caught. "Someone cloned my phone." "How?" Kirk asked. She turned the screen toward him. "The backup went through an unknown device in April, 2 months before the reunion." Kirk stared. "You think the network did it?" "No," she said slowly. "Someone gave them access." Her mind flashed through faces, friends, assistants, co-workers. Then one name landed heavy in her chest. Asia. She'd helped them, yes, but she also had access to everything. Studio files, call logs, voice notes. And she had been at the warehouse first. "Call her," Rasheeda said. Kirk dialed. No answer. "She's not picking up," he said. "Then we're going to her," Rasheeda said. They drove to the studio where Asia usually worked. The parking lot was empty except for her car. Inside, the lights were on, music equipment scattered everywhere, but Asia wasn't there. On the mixing desk, a single envelope sat under a coffee mug. Rasheeda opened it. Inside was a flash drive and a note in neat handwriting. "I'm sorry. They offered me too much, but I didn't send everything." Rasheeda clenched her jaw. So it was her. "What's on the drive?" Kirk asked. They plugged it in. The folder opened with one file labeled Contract, MP4. The video showed a secret meeting, Asia sitting with 2 producers and a legal rep. She looked nervous, signing papers. The rep said, "Once you deliver the remaining audio, you'll receive full credit for discovery." We'll protect your identity. The camera panned slightly, catching one more person in the frame. Rasheeda froze. It was Kay. Michelle, standing in the corner, arms folded. What the hell? Kirk whispered. The video ended abruptly. Rasheeda stood in silence, heart pounding. She wasn't just part of it, she said. She helped plan it. Kirk's jaw tightened. She said she didn't leak the last clip. She lied. No, Rasheeda said. She told the truth. She didn't leak it, she made it. That evening, Rasheeda sent Kay, Michelle a message. We need to talk. Face to face. To her surprise, Kay, Michelle replied within minutes. You finally figured it out. Meet me at the Ritz midnight. When midnight came, Rasheeda walked into the hotel lounge wearing a long trench coat, her expression unreadable. Kay Michelle was already there, sipping wine. I was wondering how long it'd take, she said coolly. You worked with them, Rasheeda said. You sold my life for a storyline. Kay Michelle sighed. Don't make it sound so simple. They gave me a choice: either I become the villain, or they bury me too. I did what I had to do. You destroyed me to save yourself, Rasheeda said. I didn't destroy you, Kay, Michelle said, leaning forward. I made you relevant again. Look around, you're trending. You're powerful, you've got fans screaming your name. You think that happened by accident? Rasheeda shook her head slowly. You sound just like them. You think pain equals fame? This is the business we're in, Kay Michelle said. You can hate the game, but you're still playing. Rasheeda's voice went cold. No, I'm done playing. I'm rewriting the rules. She pulled a small recorder from her bag and placed it on the table. And you just gave me my next headline. Kay, Michelle's smirk faded. You wouldn't. Oh, I would, Rasheeda said, because you're not the queen of this story anymore. A.M. The next morning, the clip of that confrontation hit the internet. Somehow, someone had recorded the entire conversation from a nearby table. The world woke up to the sound of Rasheeda saying, I'm rewriting the rules. It went viral in hours. Headlines read, Rasheeda flips the script. Love and hip-hop turned on its creators. By afternoon, the network suspended production indefinitely. Lawsuits piled in. Advertisers pulled out. And through it all, Rasheeda stayed quiet until she dropped one final video. It opened with her sitting in her boutique.com and steady. For everyone who's watched this unfold, I want you to know the truth, she said. The show didn't make me. I made the show. And now, I'm taking it back. She smiled faintly. The Frost Empire isn't falling, it's evolving. The video ended. There no music, no filters, no cuts, just truth. Fans flooded the comments with fire emojis and praise. Bloggers declared her the comeback queen. But even as the noise rose again, she turned off her phone, exhaled, and whispered to herself, finally, because for the first time in years, she wasn't reacting to the story, she was the one writing it. And deep down, she knew Atlanta wasn't done watching. But now, they'd be watching her terms, her truth, her empire. Days passed, and the noise around Atlanta began to shift. What once sounded like gossip now felt like revolution. Blogs that had spent years tearing Rasheeda apart were suddenly writing think pieces about manipulation, exploitation, and power. Fans started demanding accountability from the network. Clips of her live and the hotel confrontation played on every entertainment show in the country. The Frost Empire wasn't broken, it was reborn. But behind the applause, there was unease. Someone still hadn't shown their face. The executive behind the entire scheme. The one who'd approved the fake leaks, the forged voice notes, and the season finale designed to humiliate her. The public only knew the producers and faces, but not the name that truly mattered. One night, while reviewing the folder the anonymous lawyer had given her, Rasheeda noticed an overlooked email thread, buried deep in the attachments. The subject line read, Final Clearance, Operation Lahadal Reset. At the bottom was a digital signature: executive producer, Cole Danvers. She froze. Cole Danvers was the man who'd hired her back in the earliest seasons. The one who'd convinced her to keep filming even when she wanted to quit. He had been in every contract meeting, every renewal, every edit approval. He was the quiet power behind the chaos. She looked up at Kirk. He's the one. Kirk leaned forward. Then let's finish this. The next morning, Rasheeda called her lawyer, the same one who had warned her weeks earlier. Set up a meeting, she said. I want it recorded, legally and publicly. That afternoon, they arrived at the network's glass office tower downtown. Cameras from news outlets already lined the sidewalk. By now, the story had become national. Protesters held signs that said reality shouldn't mean lies and justice for Rasheeda. Inside the boardroom, Cole Danvers waited, slicksuit.com expression. The confidence of a man who thought he couldn't be touched. This is a mistake, he said smoothly as they sat down. You're damaging your own brand, Rasheeda. She didn't blink. My brand survived you. Yours is about to collapse. The lawyer hit record. We're here to discuss the footage manipulation, the data breaches, and the emotional distress caused by your production practices, he said. Cole smiled faintly. Emotional distress. Come on. This is reality television. Everyone knows it's exaggerated. Exaggerated is one thing, Rasheeda said, her voice steady. Fabricated is another. You forged my voice, invaded my phone, and used my pain as a prop. That's not television, it's exploitation. Cole leaned back. You signed the contracts. Contracts don't give you the right to steal my life, she shot back. His smirk faltered for the first time. You're not going to win this. The network owns everything. Not the truth, she said quietly. And then she reached into her bag and pulled out the flash drive, the same one with his emails. You really should have checked your blind copies, Cole, because every message you sent to your board went to your assistant too. And she's already testified. The color drained from his face. You think this will hold up? It already has, her lawyer said. The complaint's been filed, and since you leaked confidential recordings without consent, your whole operation's under federal review. Cole's composure cracked. You don't know what you're doing, he said, voice trembling now. I know exactly what I'm doing, Rasheeda said, standing, taking back what's mine. By that evening, news of the confrontation broke online. Rasheeda confronts executive producer network scandal deepens. Legal analysts debated live on TV whether she had enough evidence to bring down an entire franchise. But for Rasheeda, it wasn't about lawsuits anymore. It was about reclaiming her narrative. The following week, she hosted a press conference not in a studio, not in a restaurant, but at a community center in Atlanta's West End. The room was packed. Cameras lined every wall. Fans waited outside, chanting her name. When she took the podium, the crowd fell silent. For years, she began, you've watched my life get turned into something I barely recognized. They called it entertainment. I called it survival. But I'm done surviving. From now on, I'm building something new, something honest. She paused, looking out over the crowd. The Frost Empire isn't about drama anymore. It's about truth. It's about women who rebuild after betrayal, families who fight for peace, and voices that don't belong to anyone else's edit. The applause was thunderous. Kirk stood to the side, his eyes wet, clapping harder than anyone. Afterward, as the crowd thinned, a reporter called out, "What's next for you, Rasheeda?" She smiled. Something real, something we own. The next morning, she announced it officially on social media. Coming soon, The Real Atlanta, a docuseries by Rasheeda Frost. The teaser poster showed her standing alone in front of the skyline, dressed in white, no makeup, no filters. The caption read, no scripts, no edits, just truth. Within hours, streaming platforms reached out. Offers poured in. Fans flooded her comments with excitement. And when Michelle reposted it with a simple caption, respect, it signaled something bigger. The war was over. Weeks later, production began. Cameras followed Rasheeda not in chaos but in creation, her rebuilding her marriage on her terms. Mentoring young artists. Opening new stores. Every scene was hers to approve. Every edit hers to sign off. One evening, standing on her balcony, she looked out over Atlanta's lights. The air felt clear. Finally, Kirk joined her, silent for a moment before saying, "You really did it." She smiled faintly. "No, we did it. And this time, nobody's cutting the tape." Below them, the city glowed like a set one that no longer owned them. And though rumors would always swirl, and gossip would always buzz, the story of Rasheeda Frost had changed forever. It was no longer a headline, no longer a sight, and who was wrong. The way they told you who deserved sympathy and who didn't. But the truth? It's never that simple. And tonight, you saw what happens when someone finally decides to tell it their way. So as this story closes, ask yourself, how many times have you let someone else control your narrative? How many times have you let people define your worth by rumors, by noise, by moments taken out of context? It's time to take that power back. It's time to write your own script. Because if Rasheeda taught us anything, it's that silence can't save you but truth can. She could have walked away, could have stayed quiet, could have let them erase her name from the credits. Instead, she fought back. She exposed the machine. She showed us that strength doesn't come from perfection, it comes from standing in the fire and refusing to burn. And now, look where she is. The same cameras that once chased her pain now chase her peace. The same producers who once tried to ruin her now have to watch her shine without them. Atlanta isn't laughing anymore, it's listening. So here's what I want you to do. If you were moved by her story, if you believe in second chances and real redemption, hit that like button right now. Share this video so that everyone who thought the truth would never come out finally sees it. Drop a comment below and tell us what you felt watching this unfold. Were you shocked? Were you inspired? Do you believe Kirk deserved forgiveness? Or do you think some things can't be fixed? We want to hear from you, because your voice matters. Every comment, every reaction, every share tells the industry one thing: they can't control the story anymore. They can't keep feeding us fiction and calling it reality. We deserve authenticity, we deserve honesty, and we deserve creators who aren't afraid to tell the truth. And make sure you subscribe, because what's coming next will change everything. The Frost Empire isn't ending, it's evolving. Rasheeda's new docuseries, The Real Atlanta, is already in production. And from what insiders are saying, it's raw, emotional, and unfiltered. No ghost edits, no hidden microphones, just real stories, told by the people who lived them. You'll see how she rebuilt her business, how she and Kirk faced the aftermath privately, and how she turned pain into purpose. It's not about drama anymore, it's about healing, rebuilding, and owning the legacy they tried to destroy. And if you think the story's over, think again. Because this isn't just the end of an episode, it's the start of a movement. People across the industry are coming forward now, saying they've been through the same thing. Old cast members are breaking contracts, producers are being investigated, and networks are scrambling to change their rules. All because one woman finally said, enough. So if you support that strength, show it. Drop A in the comments for Rasheeda. Type I stand with truth. Tag a friend who needs to see what real power looks like. Because when you share this, you're not just supporting her, you're supporting everyone who's ever had their story stolen. And don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss what's next. Because trust me, Atlanta isn't quiet yet. We've got exclusive footage, unseen confessions, and moments that never made it to air. And you'll see them here first. So keep watching, keep questioning, keep demanding better. Because this channel isn't about gossips, about growth. It's about giving voices back to the people who lost them in the noise. And it's about showing that even in the middle of scandal, truth still has power. Maybe the headlines said the Frost Empire fell. Maybe the blogs called it the biggest betrayal in reality TV. But tonight, we know the truth. It didn't fall, it evolved. And every woman watching this, every man who's ever had to rebuild from the ruins, every fan who's tired of fake stories, you're part of that evolution too. So one last time, before this video ends, take a second, hit like, hit subscribe, share it everywhere. Remind the world that Atlanta doesn't just create drama, it creates legends. Because when the cameras stop, the lights fade, and the noise dies down, one thing remains: the truth. And in this city, the truth doesn't whisper, it roars. Thank you for watching. Thank you for standing with Rasheeda. Thank you for believing in redemption, in power, and in the kind of resilience that money can't buy. And remember, when they try to write your story, take the pen back. This is Atlanta. This is truth. And this is the rise of the Frost Empire.